All right, artists, it's time to learn how to draw muscles and then how to draw muscles on our face. So drawing muscles might seem complex, but I'll show you an easy way to get those fibers in there. And then when we're dealing with the muscles of the face, we're going back to, of course, our basics. Our basic head blocking is how we're going to start, like we always do. And then we're going to notice that the muscles of the face, they kind of group around openings of the face. So we're going to see the muscles that group around our eye sockets, the muscles that kind of group around our mouth in order for us to be able to talk, to be able to chew, to be able to make expressions with our face. And so we'll look for that as we draw. So we can see, like, for instance, the orbicularis oculi goes around the eye, and then our frontalis muscle is going to raise our eyebrows. We have the orbicularis oris that goes around the mouth, and then a variety of muscles that move our mouth around. So, and in addition, we have the muscles that move our jaw. So let's take a look at first how to draw a muscle, and we can use either our charcoal and Conte, or we can add some red Conte to it, and then we'll look at how to draw the muscles of the face. All right, guys, so let's look at how to draw just the muscle in general. So muscles have fibers to them, and then the tendons will kind of be that white fibrous section that meets the bone. And how do we show the difference between the two? So if I'm just showing, say, like just a generic muscle, and it has like the body, and then it has the tendons. I want to show those fibers running through it, but I kind of want to show where they bunch up. I want to show that the tendon's different. So what I'll do, I'm just doing this with the charcoal, and then letting it kind of open up and kind of leave it rough as it gets to the tendon part. And you can see that it kind of looks like it wraps around. So we want to show that it does this, but we also want to show that it does this, and then it bunches up when it gets to that tendon. So all you have to do is show some of those fibers like so, and then you can even kind of show fibery pulls in the tendons. You could do that too. Also, now you might want to add some red Conte and some white Conte. So I could come in here and start showing the red, and I could kind of combine this if I wanted. And I could pile them up just a little bit. And again, deciding how you want it to be in the middle. But again, just kind of showing those fibers. And then maybe we want to show the white in the tendon. And maybe there's even like a little shine in the muscle. You could show something like that. Remember, we have different shapes of muscles, so you might have a convergent muscle like your temporalis, or your pectoralis, which is big and comes to a point. And maybe it has different kind of sections to it. So what I do is I kind of like grab the sections, figure out where I'm just kind of doing a little rough area, and then kind of doing the same thing, but making sure everything goes to this convergent point here. And you might kind of show how things separate just a little. And do I want some of these to go all the way through? Sure. You'll find kind of the way that's right for you. People kind of figure out different ways of doing it, but again, just showing those fibers, and then if you want to kind of pull some through, that's great. And again, use the red, use the white if you want to, but we're just thinking about the different substances. How is tendon different than the muscle body, the stretchy muscle body versus the pliable but non-elastic tendon? A sphincter muscle like our orbicularis oculi, a rounded muscle with an opening to it. We're going to kind of look for same thing, like those fibers are kind of joining in the corners here and then wrapping around. where they grab on and come to their point. So I'm going to switch this over, and then let's look at how to draw the muscles on the actual face. All right, guys, in drawing the muscles of the face, remember we're just starting with the head block, but a couple of things to keep in mind. We only have a few muscles on our head that join bone to bone. So that's going to be like the temporalis and the masseter, and those are our chewing muscles because they are moving that joint, and the pterygoids inside. But a lot of the muscles are, some of them are joining bone to skin. So that would be like our buccinator that does this, pulls those muscles back. And a lot of the others are just kind of embedded in the skin. They're going from kind of skin to skin, and they're hard to like really make out when they're dissecting. They have to really get in there and like get through the fatty material in your skin and how they join the underneath of the skin. So just kind of thinking about that as you go. Every person's going to be totally different in how they look. So we're going to be looking at our models to see, you know, how they look unique and how we can use that. So let's just start with a regular head block. So if I was drawing from this side, I'd be putting in the cranium. Here's the front of the face, and I'd have that line down the front so I could compare which parts come out, the forehead or the muzzle more. Drawing the front face, remember it's kind of like upside down egg shape. We're going to put a symmetry line in, and we remember that the eye sockets are going to start at the halfway point. Looking for the opening of the eye sockets, and I'll put that in. And I want to look at how much space there is between the eye sockets. So how wide is your person's nose? And then remember, it's the thirds of the face. So now I start with the eyebrows, and I go down and find out where the halfway point is. And that may or may not be the bottom of the nose, the base of the nose. So same here. I look to see how deep the brow is. I bring out the nose. And then I look to see whether the muzzle comes out more or the forehead. And the mouth is going to occur about 2/3 of the way up in this lower section. I look to see if the lower lip is even with or comes out more or less than the upper lip. And then I look for the spacing and then the chin. And again, does the chin come out farther or not as far as the lips? The turn of the jaw happens even with the mouth. I'm going to look for my ear to be in this middle section. I already started a little big. And I think I need the rest of the cranium there. So I'm going to just check to make sure, and I think I have a little extra cranium on this one. So again, we measure twice, cut once, like carpenters, only we're doing drawings. So on this one, same things. I'm looking for the side of the nose. Here's the wings of the nose. Here's the base of the nose. I'm looking for the upper lip to be about 2/3 of the way up in this lower section. In the middle of the eye sockets is about where the mouth and the chin are coming to. Here's my upper lip. Here's the lower lip. I look to see if I think the chin is that same width. When I put my eyes in, I always kind of look to see it, do they line up with the wings of the nose? Do they come in a little bit more? And there's going to be one eye space between the eyes, and I think my wings on this nose are a little bit wide, so I'm going to bring the eyes in just a little. And again, you might decide that you're going to show a lot of muscles and just a little bit of the facial features, or you might decide that you want to show a lot of the facial features and the hint of the muscles. So that'll be up to you guys. And then an eye space on the outside, and that takes us to the side of the head. Here's where the ears are, right in this section. And remember, the jaw turns even with the mouth and comes in. So I can just hint at the neck here, and then I would look to see where the neck is on this side. So now we have to know where the bones are And we did that last time, when we were learning the bones of the skull, we learned the different shapes, and we're going to use some of those as we move forward with the muscles. So for instance, when we get our chewing muscles in, like the masseter and the temporalis muscle, we have to make sure we know where the jaw is and the zygomatic bone in order to get those laid in. So the temporal arch, here's this here, and here's our jaw would be laying right in here with that coronoid process coming forward. And I could maybe just give a little hint of that for now. And that zygomatic bone would be in here with its crest. And that gives me just enough information to put a couple of things in there. So our temporalis muscle is our biting muscle, and we saw that in the lecture where predator animals have really big temporalis muscles because they have to put that bite down, and the muscle fibers, they're joining in this temporal fossa. Here's the temporal line that you might see, and everything's going to right here. So when I start to lay out, how this muscle is going to sit in the form, and the muscle is going to go under this zygomatic arch, I have to kind of line everything up as though it's going to this point. So get your muscle fibers kind of lined up and figure that out, and then you can start to put the fibers in. So as long as I'm kind of following the little template that I made, everything will kind of line up, and you might have some scalloping. You can kind of look at your sheet to see the muscles. When I get to tendon, you might even kind of see a little bit of variation into those tendons. So again, I'm looking for this section to maybe be a little darker where it grabs on, and then maybe where it's grabbing onto the tendon. So I would bring this all around, and again, everything points to this coronoid process of the jaw. And then maybe I want to put this zygomatic bone kind of back over that. So that would be our temporalis muscle. And now I want to show the masseter muscle, our chewing muscle, and that one grabs onto the angle of the jaw and meets up here on the zygomatic bones. So it's kind of doing this, and it also is going to have a tendon. And it even has like little parts that, can kind of come all the way back. But again, it's grabbing onto that bone. So these are muscles that grab from bone to bone. Other muscles are doing bone to skin or muscle to skin or even skin to skin for some of the expressions on our faces. So again, just getting that in there. Remember, this is our big aponeurosis across our head, the Galea aponeurotica, and our frontalis muscles coming this way. And it's lifting up our eyebrows. So this muscle kind of wraps around. And then the thing that stabilizes it is our occipitalis back here. And then all this is kind of the tendon. So maybe I show that, and then maybe I decide, okay, well, now that I'm this far, I can put a few more things in here. So how about that orbicularis oculi? So I start to lay that in there and know that that's a sphincter muscle or a circular muscle. And maybe I put the eye in there. Maybe I see the nasalis muscle coming through. And then we know that the orbicularis oris is our mouth muscle, kind of the same thing. Like, remember, we have muscles that are grouping around openings. Here's the node of the mouth now, and we have a group of muscles. We have the levators that lift the mouth and the depressors that pull the mouth down. So the super long one, remember the one that starts right in the eye and kind of moves down, and it is called the levator labii superioris aliquae nasi, the longest name of any muscle in any mammal, meaning elevator of both the wing of the nose and the mouth. Very descriptive. So we can pull that guy in there. Then we have the levator superioris, and these guys are kind of on the bone underneath the orbicularis oculi, and they're grabbing on like this. There's also the levator angularis, and here's the zygomatic bone. It kind of comes this way. And then on top of that, we have our zygomatic major and minor. So there's 5 levators. So the minor is going to come kind of right over this angularis, and this might just fill in right here a little. So the minor and then the major grabs right onto that node of the mouth. The depressor muscles. And then we also have an angular depressor muscle. So they're coming back this way. We might see the buccinator on the inside. Remember the one that kind of pulls your cheeks in? So we'd have that. And I want to show that that's deep. So I might go kind of dark on this. And maybe I want to show the risorius on top. Remember the one that gives you a little dimple on your cheek, perhaps? And then what fills this in is the platysma. Remember the one that does this? The one that pulls your neck. So I might just give a hint of that kind of wrapping around and filling up the rest of the space. The last little guy is mentalis. So we can just show that coming this way. And I might decide like, all right, I really want to show a few things on here of the model. So maybe I come back in and I show the ear. Maybe I want to show some of their hair. You know, you can decide to do that, or maybe you want to give a little more of their expression. You might show a little bit more of their features. And again, that's up to you how you want to handle that. And then on the front face, it's the same stuff, but just a different view. And we have a little bit more of a chance to maybe show a little bit of what's under that frontalis. So let's start with that orbicularis oculi. Remember, there's the palpebral region that kind of helps you to close the eye, and then the whole orbital region. Remember, a circular muscle only does this, it only squeezes. That's why the mouth is a modified one, because you can move your sides independently. So say I started with my orbicularis oculi, and I kind of showed it laying across, and here would be my temporalis muscle. So that would be going this way, of course. If these are my eyebrows, the frontalis is kind of going right into those eyebrows, and it has two halves to it. And remember, I'm taking the side of my charcoal and just doing this in order to get some of those muscle fibers. But what if I want to show a cutaway like we see in some of our handouts? What if I want to show a little cutaway of that muscle? Maybe I'm showing like, here's how thick it is. And so I put that back in there. But now I can see the corrugator. So if this is my eyebrow right here, the corrugator kind of reaches like right up in this upper middle part and goes in between your brows, and it's pulling in this direction. So it's this. It's giving you a frowning face. And then maybe I want to show the procerus. It does this. It's kind of, here's the origin of these muscles, and here's the insertion. And the insertion is to the skin, and to the skin, it's the underneath of the skin. This part is pulling down your whole eyebrow. This part's kind of pulling, and remember it has its little helper, the depressor supercilii. So there's almost like two little fan muscles. There would be one on this side too, pulling down the head of the eyebrow. So any kind of frown that you're making, that's what we're seeing there. And remember, the orbicularis oris has a red lip portion and then its outer portion. So kind of like two portions for the eyes and two portions for the mouth. But remember, this circular or sphincter muscle can move independently. So it's not just squeezing the mouth shut. If I want to show the nasalis, it has a little intermediate tendon, and then it goes each way like this. And that one's for doing this. It's for scrunching up the nose, and you can see those wrinkles that it creates. So we're going like this. So wrinkles always happen at a right angle to the muscle pull. So that's why when we're pulling up our eyebrows like this, the wrinkles happen this way. That's why when we're pulling up the nose, the wrinkles will happen this way. Even our eyes, if we're squeezing the eyes and we get these little wrinkles like this, it's because of that squeeze. So maybe I show that, and then I can start to show some of the levators. So the alaque nasi, the superioris. Everything's grabbing into this orbicularis oris to help you with expression, to help you to speak. And so the caninus is coming this way, but maybe I want to kind of show where that zygomatic bone is, angularis, and then our zygomatic minor, zygomatic major. Maybe we start to see the risorius, or maybe we want to see more of the masseter. So that's the chewing muscle. Maybe I decide that I'm kind of showing muscles like across this way, and maybe over here I'm showing like the shading of the form. The depressor inferioris coming this way, pulling the mouth down and out like this. And then the depressor anguli oris going down this way. And then the mentalis muscle going this way. And remember, this muscle, you can have a little dimple in your chin or a little cleft in your chin. I could come in here with some red Conte and kind of work back and forth. And then put back in some of those fibers, or where the muscles attach, get darker and have the red. That I want to show some of the tendons with my white. So here's some of this. Or even some of the bone. You guys that are doing pastel might want to show like a yellowish cream tone to that. Remember, the deepest part of the face is right at the eye socket. So that's where I kind of go a little darker. And I'm just making fibers as I put all this in here. So again, remember, grouping around openings. Any wrinkling that we see in the face is at kind of a perpendicular angle. And I would say just starting with something simple. Start with the head block first of all, and then just start with something simple like maybe I'll just do the chewing muscles. Okay, wait, let's do this eye muscle. Okay, it's easy to put in the frontalis muscle. And when we're drawing these muscles, don't just look at the chart and copy it. Think about the muscle's origin and insertion. Remember, the muscle always pulls towards the origin, from the insertion towards the origin. And we want to think about what its purpose is. So what are the muscles that are moving my mouth around right now as I'm talking, or if I'm frowning, or if I'm surprised, or if I'm laughing, crying? What are these muscles all working together in different combinations to make those expressions happen? So let's get going. I know you're going to do a great job, and I'll be there to help you.